Am I audible to you all? Okay, am I audible? Good morning, students. We are going to start with a new chapter today, light, shadow and reflection. This topic is taken from Standard Class 6 Science. Myself, Milan Patil. So let's get begin with a new chapter today. Let's see what are we going to learn in this lesson. We are going to learn about light, different sources of light, luminous and non-luminous objects, properties of light, that is rectilinear propagation of light and reflection of light. These are the two properties that we are going to learn. We are also going to classify material based on their ability to allow light to pass through them as transparent, translucent and opaque object. We are going to learn about shadow, condition required to form shadow, characteristics of shadow, and we are going to learn about something very interesting, that's a pinhole camera. Let's get begin. Okay, what do you observe in this picture? There is a dark room. What happens when you suddenly enters a dark room? Are you able to see anything in the dark room? We hardly get to see anything in the dark room, isn't it? But if you allow a source of light to enter into the dark room, what do this light do? What does the light do here in this case? It makes the things visible, right? Light makes the thing visible. So in this dark room, nothing is visible except the part where the light is focused, isn't it? So we can see a man is standing near the door, and behind the door, a source of light is entering into the room. So only this part is visible. So light is very, very important. So do you know why things are more clearly visible during the day than during the night time? Why the things are more visible or more clearly visible during the daytime? It's all because of sunlight, isn't it? During the daytime, we get to see sunlight, and because of this sunlight, the things are more clearly visible. What happened during the night time? During the night time, sun is not there, so the main source of light is not there. So we use artificial source of light, tube light, bulb, LEDs, to make the things visible. We are going to learn some interesting fact about this light in our today's lesson. Light makes the thing visible. So light helps us to see the object. So light is very, very important because light makes things visible. If light is not there, we are not able to see anything. Of course, eyes are very, very important to see these objects. But if the source of light are not there, then we may not able to see those objects. So what is light? Have you ever wondered what is light? Because we use this light each and every day. We can't even imagine our life without light. So what is this light? Do you know the answer? let's see and understand what is the meaning of light. So light is something that enables us to see things around, isn't it? So what is light? Light is something that enable us, that help us to see things around. Okay. Light is a type of energy. Just like we have different sources of energy, we have wind energy, we have solar energy. Okay, just like we have these different forms of energy. That's a solar picture of a solar panel. Okay, so using solar energy, we have nuclear power plant. So nuclear energy, thermal energy, different types of energies are there in your surrounding, and we make use of these energies. So light is also a type of energy. Light is also a type of energy. It is one form of energy that make things visible. That make things visible. Okay, so light is a form of energy, as I already told you, that makes things visible. If light is not there, we may not able to see in that complete dark room, isn't it? Look at this picture. In this picture, nothing is visible and nothing is clearly seen. That is because there is no source of light. The source of light is only near this door, and because of this, only this part is visible. So light is a type of energy that makes things visible. So what are the different sources of light? Do you know what are the different sources of light in your surrounding? Can you name some of the things in your surrounding which can be put up as a source of light? I can group the source of light into two groups, natural source and artificial. But what do you mean by the source of light? Let me explain you that. Any object, source of light will be any object. Okay, let me write over here. Source of light will be any object that gives out light. So any object that gives out light is termed as source of light. Now this any object can be put into the two main groups. One is natural source, other one will be artificial source. Can you name some of the things which comes under natural source of light? Examples. Try to use the chat box to give your answer. What can come under natural source of light? So what do you mean by source of light? As I already told you, it is any object that gives out light. So what are those objects which come under natural source of light? What are the natural source of light? What are the natural source of light? Okay, let me give you examples. Now you tell me, are you going to place candle? Okay, many are saying sun. Okay, examples under natural can be sun. Where are you going to place candle? Natural or artificial? Of course, candle will come in artificial source of light. A bulb. Where are you going to place the bulb? Natural or artificial? Bulb will also be artificial source of light. What about stars? Where are you going to place stars? Stars will be natural source of light. So let us learn more detail and let's see more example about sources of light. So natural sources of light, sun or the other star. Sun is also a star. It is in fact it is the biggest star in our galaxy. Okay, so sun and other stars are the natural sources of light. Another examples, more examples about natural sources of light, fireflies. Have you seen fireflies? It is called kajule in Marathi. It is a fly that can glow light, isn't it? And these type of things you can see during the night time especially. Okay, these fireflies are visible especially during night time. You can see their light during night time. Okay, fireflies, they are called fireflies, kajole. Okay, there are certain worms which also glow. They are called glowworms. Okay, there are many organisms which give out their own light. Okay, like animals. Okay, like fireflies, glowworms. So they glow or they gives their own light. More examples are jellyfish. Can you see this jellyfish? It's an aquatic organism. You will find them in water sources, water bodies. Okay, and you can observe this jellyfish. That part is glowing, right? This part is glowing in the jellyfish. So jellyfish also gives their own light. There is another fish called anglerfish. Look at the anglerfish. This anglerfish also gives its own light. Okay, this anglerfish, and there are many more fish which glow and which give their own light. You can later on, once I finish the lesson, you can comment in the comment section. You can give me more examples about those organisms which gives their own light. Okay, so you can give these examples in the comment section once we finish with today's class. More natural sources of light will be brush fires. Sometimes bushes fires. Okay, fire occur in the forest area. Okay, it's by natural during because trees they rub against each other, and friction is causing main cause of fire in the forest. Okay, so forest fire will be the example of a natural source of light. More example is lightning. You must have observed lightning and thunderstorm during heavy rainfall. Few days back it was lightning during the night time. I hope you have observed that lightning. This lightning is also a natural sources of light. Let's come to artificial source of light. Okay, artificial source of light are nothing but man-made. Okay, artificial means what? Man-made. Okay, they are not found in nature. Whereas natural source of light are those objects which are there in the nature and which gives their own light. Whereas artificial source of light are those objects which are man-made. For example, we have bulb, torch. All these are man-made objects which gives light. Lamp, lighter. Can you give me more examples of artificial sources of light that you use at home? What are the different artificial sources of light other than bulbs that you use at home? LEDs will come over here, yes or no? LEDs will come, tube light will come. All these are artificial sources of light. Matchsticks, okay, burning of a matchstick or a candle. All these are artificial sources of light. Let's see. Based on whether object can give its own light or whether that object do not give its own light, we classify the object into two categories. What are the two categories? Luminous objects and non-luminous objects. There are various objects that you see in your surrounding. Whether they have the ability or property to give out their own light is whether they have this ability to give out their own light. We can group them into two main categories. One is luminous, other one is non-luminous. What do you mean by luminous object? Objects that give out their own light. So what are luminous objects? Those objects that give out their own light. So these objects will give out their own light. For example, sun, okay, a bulb, a tube light. These give out their own light. Whereas non-luminous objects are those objects, non-luminous objects are those objects that do not give their own light. These do not give their own light. So we term these as non-luminous objects. These do not give their own light. Example, pencil, a book, a pen. All these objects, they don't give light at all, isn't it? So object can be categorized into two main groups. Whether they have the ability to give out their own light or no, we have luminous object and non-luminous object. What are luminous objects? Those objects which give out their own light. What are non-luminous objects? Those objects which do not give out their own light. As I told you, example, book or pen. So all the sources of light, all the objects that you have placed under the sources of light, you can see them as luminous objects. So all those objects we have seen as the sources of light can be put into this group here as a luminous object. We have sun, we have bulb, okay, we have the stars, candle. All these objects we have seen just now as a source of light, both artificial and natural source of light. All these objects which are grouped as sources of light can come under this group as luminous object. What are non-luminous objects? All the other objects, okay, that we see in your surrounding, like animals, paintings, book, okay, wall, then chair. Apart from there are celestial objects which we call them as planets. Okay, planets, they don't give their own light. Stars give their own light. They are called luminous objects. And planets, okay, all the other planets other than stars which are there in our galaxy, all these are non-luminous objects. So let us see the definition of this luminous and non-luminous object again. Okay, we have the differentiate between the both luminous object and non-luminous object. You may get question in the exam, differentiate between or distinguish between luminous objects and non-luminous objects. So let us see. You make columns like this and you should write the answer. Objects that can emit the light energy by themselves are known as luminous objects. So objects that can emit energy by themselves, or which those objects which give out their own light, okay, which give out their own light, are termed as luminous object. Instead of these words, the object that can emit the light energy by themselves, you can write these words. Those objects that give out their own light are known as luminous objects. What about non-luminous objects? Those objects that do not give their own light, do not give their own light, or do not emit their own light, cannot emit light. Okay, instead of these words, cannot emit their own light energy by themselves, you can write those objects that do not give their own light are known as non-luminous objects. Okay, luminous objects are visible as they emit their own light. Luminous objects are visible to you. Why they are visible? Because they are emitting their own light. Because they give their own light, you know that they are completely visible, like sun, burning candle. Non-luminous objects are not visible. For example, if there is a room, okay, in the room, suppose there is a chair. Chair is not visible in the dark room. But if you turn on the bulb in that room, what will happen? The bulb is going to act as an artificial source of light, wherein it will make the things visible. And then only you will able to see that chair which is kept in the room. So non-luminous objects are visible because of some other luminous object. Okay, examples other than planets, moon is also a non-luminous object. Moon don't give their own light. Now you will see, tell me that moon also gives light. Moon reflect the light of sun. What does the moon do? Moon reflect light of sun. So it doesn't give their own light. It doesn't have its own light. Okay, it doesn't have its own light. Own light not the What it do? It reflect the light of sun. It reflect the light of sun. Okay, no, it doesn't have its own light. Therefore, moon can come under non-luminous object. Okay, let us now come to the very important part of the lesson, that is, why are we learning about light? Okay, because we are going to learn about certain properties of light. Okay, let us see what are these properties of light. First property we have rectilinear propagation, and second property we have reflection of light. Okay, there's a spelling mistake. Double I has come. One I is not there. Okay, so there are two properties that we are going to learn this year. What are those properties? Rectilinear propagation and reflection of light. Let us see one by one in detail. Let us see and try to understand rectilinear propagation of light. What do you mean by this term? Rectilinear propagation. Rectilinear propagation. Okay, let me explain you the meaning of word rect. Okay, let me explain you the meaning of word rect. Rect, okay, means straight. What's the meaning of word rect? A straight. Okay, linear means line. What's the meaning of word linear? Line. Rectilinear, straight line. Propagation means to travel. What does the mean propagation means? To travel. Light travel in a straight line. That's the meaning of this property. Rectilinear means what? Light travel in a straight line. So the rectilinear propagation of light means light travel in a straight line. Okay, let us try to understand this property in detail with the help of an activity. You can also do this activity along with me. What you need? Just a paper. Okay, you need a paper. Take a paper, and what are you going to do with that paper? You are going to fold the paper in a cylindrical manner. What are you going to do with the paper? You are going to fold the paper in a cylindrical manner, and you are going to make pipe like this. Okay, hollow cylindrical pipe. If you already have a pipe at home, you can use that pipe. But right now, obviously you must be sitting with your notebook, so you can take one page from that book and you fold that paper in a circular manner, in a cylindrical manner, and now try to see object through that pipe. Anywhere you project it nearby and try to see any object through that pipe. Is that things visible to you? Suppose there is a painting on the wall, you can observe that painting. You can observe a book which is kept on the table, or you can observe pen which is kept on the table. Okay, is it visible to you? You can comment me in the comment section. If you are doing along with me, then you can comment me in the comment section. Is those objects visible to you all through that pipe? Can you able to see the things with the help of that straight hollow pipe? Yes or no? If you try to observe this, you will able to see that when you try to observe the things through that hollow pipe, the things are visible. Okay, things are visible. Now what are you going to do to that pipe? You will slightly bend the pipe like this. Okay, since you have made a pipe of the paper pipe, okay, since you have made paper pipe, it is very easy to bend. Okay, just slightly bend it. Now, is that object which you were seeing is visible to you right now? Is that object visible to you? Is that object visible? Now bend and see. When you bend it, that object is not visible. What does this activity prove us? What does this activity, what we conclude from this activity, a small little demonstration, that when you bend, things are not visible. When it was straight pipe, the things are visible. Okay, if you can also do the activity by taking a candle flame. Okay, later on once you finish the class, you can do that same activity with a candle flame. The candle flame is visible. Okay, that is because light from this candle flame is traveling in this straight line into your eyes, and because of which the candle is visible to you. What happened over here? Okay, light goes like this, and there is a bend. Light cannot bend. Light travels in that straight line. Light do not bend. Okay, therefore this bending of light is not taking place, and therefore the things are not visible in a bent pipe. So this activity gives us hint that light always travels in a straight line. What does the light do? Light always travels in a straight line. What is the name of this property? This property is known as rectilinear propagation. It is termed as rectilinear propagation. Okay, this property of light is known as rectilinear propagation of light. Now let us see the next property of light, that is reflection. What do you mean by the term reflection? What is reflection? Okay, you must have used mirror every day. Morning when you get up, what is the first thing that you do? What is the first thing that you do when you get up in the morning? We try to see our face in the mirror. We try to look ourselves into the mirror. We try to observe ourselves, isn't it? When you see yourself in the mirror, what you see an image, that is nothing but your own reflection you see in the mirror. Your own self, your own image you see in the mirror. That's called your reflection. Okay. That means what is a mirror? Mirror acts as a reflector. What is mirror? Mirror acts as reflector. It is acting as reflector. What's the meaning of reflector? It reflects light. Let us try to understand what's the meaning of this word reflection or reflector. Okay, in detail. You can do this activity with the help of a mirror. Okay. You take a mirror, and what are you going to do? You are going to use a torch to project the light on the mirror. Okay. What will happen? When you project light with the help of a torch into the mirror, what does the mirror do? Mirror change the direction of the light which falls on them, isn't it? What does it? When the light falls onto the mirror, the light goes back in the other direction. Yes? So light bounce back. What is happening to the light? Light bounce back in the other direction. It comes back from the mirror. When you project the light onto the mirror, what does the mirror do? Light is, after falling into the mirror, it is bouncing back. It bounces off from that surface. This bouncing back property of light is known as reflection. What is this bouncing back property of light is known as? Reflection. So when light strike a smooth shining surface, when you strike a light, strike means when light hit on any smooth shining surface, it is going to bounce back. It is going to come back from that surface. That property of light is known as reflection. So here mirror is acting as a reflector. What is reflector? A surface, any surface, especially a smooth surface, that help in reflection. So what does the mirror is doing? Mirror is acting as a reflector, any smooth surface from which the light is going to come back. or light is going to change its direction. So when light fall onto the smooth surface, what does the light is doing? Light is changing its direction, light is bouncing back, and this bouncing back property of light is termed as reflection. Okay, so if you take other thing other than mirror that can also act as a reflector, what are the other things that act as a reflector or mirror? Like a smooth polished metal glass. Okay, you can take a metal, a steel plate. Okay, you can use a steel plate which will also act as a reflector or a mirror, because you can also see your reflection in this new steel plate, isn't it? You can see yourself, it is acting as a mirror. Okay, why? Because it is very smooth and it bounces back the light. Whichever light falls onto that surface, it bounces back the light, and this property of light is known as reflection. So let us try to write what's the definition of reflection. What's the definition? When light falls on a smooth and shiny surface, when light falls on a smooth and shiny surface, it bounces back. This property of light is known as reflection. Simply, if I want to write down the definition of reflection of light, it will be the phenomena of bouncing back of light from a smooth surface. So what is reflection? Phenomena. Phenomena means a process. The reflection is nothing but a phenomena of bouncing back of light from a smooth surface. You can also write it as the property of light wherein light bounce back from a smooth reflecting surface is termed as reflection. So when light rays hit any smooth surface, what kind of surfaces can act as a reflector? A plain glass act as a reflector, water act as a reflector, polished metal surfaces act as a reflector, including mirror. Okay, mirror is a perfectly smooth surface. Okay, other than mirror which act as a reflector, we have glass, water. You must have seen your images or reflection in the water bodies. Yes or no? When you go near the water sources, you see your own reflection in the water. So water also act as a reflector. A polished metal surface, all these act as a reflector or the smooth surfaces on which when light hit them, they bounce back. Understood both these properties? One is reflection of light. What is the other property? What was the other property? Rectilinear propagation of light. So we have seen two properties of light. One is reflection of light and other one is rectilinear propagation of light. In this slide you can see, because of this reflection, you can see the image of this mountain and the surrounding area into the water body. Yes or no? That's the reflection and that's the objects here. So mountains, then these trees, all this reflection you can see on this water body. Okay. The image of this pencil can be seen through this metal plate. Why? Because it acts as a reflector. Because of the reflection property of light, the pencil image is formed into that smooth metal plate. Now we are going to learn about objects which are there in our surrounding. Okay, we can classify the objects which are there in the surrounding based on they allow light to pass through them. Okay, whether they allow light to pass through them, whether they have that ability of allowing this light to pass through them. We can classify them as transparent, translucent and opaque object. Let us see these pictures. What do you see? That's a glass tumbler. That's a glass tumbler. We never use the word tumbler. We always say a glass, isn't it? A steel tumbler, glass tumbler. That's a glass tumbler. That's a because it is glass tumbler, because it is transparent. Can you see what is there inside the glass? What is there inside that glass tumbler? What you can see inside that glass tumbler? Observe it very carefully. Observe this picture and tell me. Use the chat box to give your answer. What you can see inside that glass tumbler? There is a small mouse. Can you see that small little mouse who is sitting inside that glass tumbler? Yes. Why that mouse is visible to you? Because this tumbler is transparent. What do you mean by transparent? You can see through this, isn't it? Transparents are those objects through which you can see through those objects. So whatever is there on the other side of the glass tumbler is visible to this glass tumbler, isn't it? I can see that's most probably will be the kitchen counter. Okay, there is most probably this is a gas top. I can see everything through that glass. Why everything is visible? Because such objects are transparent. Okay, what are transparent objects? You can see through this object. Okay, those objects which makes things visible. Through this object, you can able to see through these objects. Now, why you can see through this object? That is very interesting property of light. That is when light pass through this object, the things are visible. We know that light makes things visible. So those objects which allow light to pass through them and you can see things through them, they are termed as transparent objects. So what are, if you get question for exam, what are transparent objects? What do you write? Transparent objects are those objects which allow light to pass through them. Those are called transparent objects. So through transparent object, light is straight pass. Because light is passing through this object very clearly, the things are clearly visible. You can see the thing. For example, in this piece of glass which is held in the hand, you can see the roof of the house, isn't it? And the sky. Why these things are visible? Because this is a piece of the glass which is a transparent. Water is also transparent, isn't it? Because water is transparent, you can also see things through this water. So what are the things that are the transparent objects that are there in your surrounding other than glass? We have water and air. These are the things which are transparent. Let me explain what are transparent again to you. Transparent objects are those objects which allow light to pass through them and we can see things clearly. The things are clearly seen through the transparent object. Let us see what are the translucent objects. What's that? That's a butter paper. Have you seen a butter paper? It is being used especially in bakery, baking part, when you're baking cakes and all. Or it is also called a tracing paper. That is being used by the artist while drawing. Okay, tracing paper. So butter paper or a tracing paper or normally any paper, if you allow light to fall onto them, things are visible but not very clearly. See, these fingers, I can see the fingers here. Okay, but these fingers are not clearly visible. Are they clearly visible? No. Translucent object, you can see through this object but not very clearly. Why you cannot see very clearly? Because these allow only some light to pass through them. So what are translucent objects? These objects allow light to pass through them very little light. Therefore, the object through these materials are visible, but they are not very clear. What are the things which can act as a translucent? Paper, butter paper or tracing paper, certain object of which the glass is made rough. Okay, you have window panes, okay, rough window panes and a smooth window panes. If the window panes or the glass which are being used to make windows, if it is a rough glass, okay, that can act as a translucent object. You can do this activity at home. You can take a torch, okay, and try to project the light onto your palm of your hand. Okay, हाताचा जो palm असा ताचेर light ray project करा. Try to take the torch and try to see project it onto your hand. Okay, and you are going to then comment here in the comment section later on. Once you finish, you are going to tell me where you are going to place the palm of your hand. Whether it is transparent, translucent or opaque. Let me explain you what is translucent. Translucent are those objects which allow light to pass through them, but things are not visible. They are not very clearly visible. Okay, they are visible, but they are not very clearly visible. Those objects are termed as translucent. What are opaque object? Third category is opaque object. Opaque objects are those objects which do not allow light to pass through them at all. Okay, what are opaque objects? These objects don't allow light to pass through them at all. Okay, because they don't allow light to pass through them, you cannot see the things through this opaque object. Suppose there is a wall over here, okay, of the house. Can you see the things which are there on the either other side of this wall? Of course, those things are not visible. Yes or no? The things are not visible through this. Okay, another object is cardboard. You take a cardboard and you try to keep a pencil on the other side of the cardboard. Will the pencil will be visible to your? If you try to view it from this side, will it be visible? And if you try to keep the pencil on the other side, will it be visible? Of course, it will not be visible. Okay. Of course, it will not be visible. Why it will not be visible? Why it will not be visible? Because it is a opaque. What does the opaque object do? They do not allow light to pass to them. They don't allow light to pass to them at all. They block the light. And therefore, you cannot see anything through this opaque object. Things are not visible. Now, your own body is also a opaque body. Okay. But I have try to find out this part of your body. Try to take the torch. Try to project up on the palm of your hand and then you observe it. Okay. Entire body is a opaque body. See here, because it is not allowing light to pass to them, what is happening here on the other side of the opaque object? What is this? What's that picture? What's that thing which you can see in this background? That's a shadow, right? That one is man and that's his shadow. Okay, you can see the shadow of the opaque object. Okay, another object over here. What's this object? When you hit that, this is again a opaque object. Okay, when you project a light onto that opaque object, we do not allow the light to pass to them. But it is forming a thing over here. What is that? That's a shadow of that object. So, opaque object do not allow light to pass to them, but shadow is formed on the opaque object. Through the opaque object, shadow is formed. So, what is shadow? Have you ever wondered or have you ever asked this question to yourself? What is shadow? It is nothing but area of darkness that is formed when light rays are blocked by any opaque object. It is a simple definition about shadow. Area of darkness that is formed when light rays are blocked by an opaque object. Okay. How the shadow is formed? Let me demonstrate an activity for you. You can also do this activity after the class and you will comment me in the comment section whether you have done the activity or not. Here comes the activity 2. Okay, one activity is already done with the pipe. Now that's activity 2. You need a torch and you need any opaque object. Let's say we are taking this toy, a teddy bear. Okay, let us take this teddy bear. When you hit the light onto this teddy bear, what is happening? This teddy bear is an opaque object, isn't it? It do not allow light to pass, but light is passing through these sides. All the light rays are passing through this side. And what is forming onto this wall? A image of this teddy bear, a outline border of this teddy bear is formed over here. Okay, area of darkness, which is darker, isn't it? That's a dark image. Okay, that's a dark image, or area of darkness that is formed when light rays are blocked by any opaque object, and that area of darkness is termed as shadow. What do we call it as? What do we call these things as? We call it as shadow. Okay, let us see and understand shadow in detail. So shadow are always going to form when light is blocked. When the light rays are blocked, shadow will be formed. If the light rays are not blocked, will the shadow form? Will the shadow form if light rays are not blocked? So when the shadow will form, what type of objects, material you need to form shadow? What type of materials you need to form shadow? Is it transparent? Is it translucent? Or is it opaque? Shadow will be formed on which type of object? Shadow will be formed on which type of object? You have to choose the one. Choose the correct one. Is it transparent? Is it translucent or opaque? Please give your answer in the comment section. Quick. Comment me over here. Comment me here. Yes. Which type of objects you need to form shadow? We know that shadow is formed on opaque object. When the opaque object blocks the light ray, that time the shadow will be formed. So the formation of shadow. What are the essential conditions to form shadow? You may get question for exam. What are the essential condition? Essential means important conditions to form shadow. First of all, first important condition, object must be opaque. What kind of object it should be? The object should be opaque. Object must be opaque. Opaque object. Can the shadow form on transparent and translucent objects? Definitely no. So first essential condition to form shadow is there must be object and that object must be opaque object. Okay, here you can see the children are playing with the shadow. Here you can see most probably the child with their parents over here. The shadow you can see on the ground. So the formation of the shadow, most important condition is opaque object. Second important condition, there has to be source of light, isn't it? Can the shadow form if there is no light? Do you see your shadow during the night time or during your daytime? Especially if the shadow are formed, if you enter into the dark room, you cannot see any shadow. But if there is a source of light in that dark room, then definitely you will be able to see your shadow in that dark room. That means light is very important. And in which direction the shadow is from? Look here. The light source is here. In between we have the object. Okay, that's the object. And shadow is formed in the opposite direction of that is of light. So light is here. The shadow will be formed in the opposite direction. So the shadow is formed in this direction on this wall here. So there is, first of all, there must be opaque object, there should be a source of light, and what are the third important condition? There must be something on which shadow is forming, right? In this case, you can see the shadow of this boy on the ground, okay, on the ground. In this previous example, you have seen there is a black object here, okay, which is kept on the wall. On this shadow is formed. In these examples, you have seen these children are playing, their shadow is forming on the ground. So there has to be something on which shadow will form, and that something is called what? Screen. So shadow can be seen only if there is a screen. Will you able to see the shadow if there is no screen? If there is no screen at all, will you able to see the shadow? Of course no, right? So what are the three essential conditions to form shadow? What are the three essential conditions to form shadow? There must be an opaque object, there is a source of light, and shadow can be formed only on a screen. Okay, that's the reason or that's the essential condition for the formation of a shadow. What are the characteristics of this shadow? Let us see the characteristics of the shadow. Okay, first characteristic, the size. Size depend on the position of the light. Yes? Size of the shadow will depend on the position of the light. In the which time during the day do you think your shadow will be smallest? Which time during the day your shadow will be smallest? Okay, suppose this object is there. Which time during the day the shadow will be smallest? Morning time, afternoon time, or evening time? Which time during the day your shadow will be the smallest shadow, very small shadow will form? During the afternoon time. Okay, when the sun is there in the east, okay, you know that your shadow is going to form over here. Okay, and that shadow will be taller than the object when the sun is there in the east direction. As the sun is moving over here, and it is reaching over here exactly above your head, mostly during the noon time. Okay, mostly during the noon time from 12 o'clock, maybe between 12 to 1. Okay, not exactly 12 to 1, but during the noon time, you will see that shadow will be very small shadow you will see. You will not able to see the bigger shadow, but it will be a tiny shadow. Okay, so during the afternoon time, you will see the shadow. You are not exactly 12. You cannot write exactly 12. Okay, it can be during the afternoon time you form that your shadow is very small. Which time of the day your shadow will be very tall? Which time of the day your shadow will be tall? Which time of the day your shadow will be tall? Which time of the day your shadow will be formed? Which time of the day your shadow will be formed? In the morning and afternoon, isn't it? During the morning time, or not afternoon, and the evening time, during both this time, the shadow will be very tall or very large. The size of the shadow depend on the position of the object, and direction also. Shadow also depend on the position. When the sun is rising in the east, the shadow is going to form in the east direction. When the sun is setting up in the west, the shadow is going to form in the east direction. When the sun is rising in the east, the shadow is forming on the west side is here. Okay, suppose that's the east side, shadow will be formed on the west side. When this will happen in the morning time. In the afternoon, in the evening time, when the sun is rising up setting up in the west. Okay, when the sun is setting up in the west, okay, the shadow will be formed on the east side, and then during both this time, morning and in the evening time, the shadow will be very tall. Okay, second thing, The shadow, what is the color of the shadow? Size we have seen. Size can be bigger, smaller depending on the position of the source. Shadow are dark color, mostly dark color or black in color, isn't it? Do the shadow have its own color? Color is like object. Object can be colorful, but the shadow are not colorful. Objects are colorful, but shadow is not colorful. Okay, the shadow just the colorful asana. Okay, the shadow is not colorful at all. It is very dark. It takes the shape of an object. And what is the shape? So the size depends on the position of the light. Shadow is very dark in color and the shape depends on the shape of the object. If the object is having this shape, our shadow will be that shape. Suppose that's the object here. The shadow will also take the same shape. Okay. If the object is triangular shape, shadow will also take the triangular shape. So the three characteristics. First is size. Size depends on the position. Second characteristics, the shadow is always dark or black in color. Third characteristic, it takes the shape of an object. So we have seen what is shadow. What is shadow? Area of darkness that is formed when the light rays are blocked by opaque object. What are opaque objects? What are opaque objects? Opaque objects are those objects which do not allow light to pass to them, like book, a door, a tile. All these objects are opaque objects, okay, which do not allow light to pass to them, and things are not visible through this opaque object. So understood what are opaque object and the shadow, how the shadow is formed. So essential condition for the formation of shadow, three essential condition. There must be opaque object, there must be a source of light, and third essential condition, there must be screen. Now we have seen the characteristics of shadow. Three characteristics. Size depend on the position of the source of light. Shadow are always dark or black in color and it take the shape of the object. These are the three essential characteristics of the shadow. Let's come to very interesting part of the lesson, and you can do this activity at home. Okay, that you can take it as an assignment. Okay, the procedure is already given to you all in your textbook, in your science textbook. You should make a pinhole camera. Okay, that's a pinhole camera. Okay, what are, by the way, pinhole camera? You just take a wooden cardboard. Okay, cardboard. Make a cuboidal box like this of that cardboard, or you just take a cardboard box like this. Okay, and make a hole, a pin size hole to that box. Okay, so you take a cardboard, you make a pin size hole to that cardboard, and what are you going to attach? You can, this act as your pinhole camera. That becomes your pinhole camera. You can put a white paper on the other side of the box. Here you can put a white paper. So image is formed when you observe the things through this pinhole camera, through this hole. When you try to see things, what you will observe, that you will see the objects like this, upside down. So objects are seen upside down. What's the upside down images is also known as? Upside down is known as inverted. You see a inverted images are formed inside that pinhole camera. Okay, that's a small little activity which you are going to do. Okay, what is pinhole camera? It is nothing but a simple camera. It's a simple camera. Okay, so simple camera without any lenses. Okay, you get so many cameras in the market. Okay, so many cameras you get it in the market. That's a very small little camera which you can make at home with just using a cardboard box. It's a simple camera without any lenses. So just a box with tiny hole on one of each side. When the light fall on that hole, what happens? When the light fall on that hole, an inverted image is formed in that opposite direction. Suppose you're observing the things over here from this you're observing, you will see the image of this tree inside that box, a tiny image, but it will be upside down. Very interesting to see this, isn't it? You can make the pinhole camera. I will put up the description of making the pinhole camera in the description box in my video. You can see the description and you can make your pinhole camera. Okay, and you can play with that pinhole camera. So we know that cameras, we nowadays, I don't have to tell you anything about cameras. No cell phone comes without camera. So all the smartphones will have camera, and to that smartphone you will see there is a lens. Yes or no? So lens may through this lens, when light enters, you can see the image formation inside the camera. So pinhole camera are nothing but a small cubical box like this. Okay, what do? You make a hole to that box and you will able to see the things through that pinhole. Why it is called pinhole? Because you have to make pin size hole. Pin size hole, not very big hole. Okay, pin size hole. Okay, that's why it is called pinhole camera. You take a pin and make a hole, and that becomes your pinhole camera. Very simple. Will you do this activity? That's your third activity. Activity 3 for this today's class. Okay, with that we have finished with the entire lesson. Let's summarize the entire lesson. What we have learned in today's class. We have learned about what is light. We have learned about different sources of light as artificial source and natural source of light. Artificial and natural source. Then we have learned about luminous and non-luminous objects. Okay, luminous and non-luminous objects. Those objects which give their own light are luminous. Those objects which do not give their own light are called non-luminous objects. Then we have seen properties of light. Two properties. One is rectilinear propagation. What is rectilinear propagation? Propagation of light in a straight line. Triangling of light in a straight line is called rectilinear propagation. Second property of light we have seen is reflection of light. The phenomena of bouncing back of light when it strikes a smooth reflecting surface is known as reflection. Okay, these are the two properties we have seen. Then we have grouped the object as transparent, translucent and opaque. Transparent objects are those objects which allow light to pass to them and things are visible through transparent object. Translucent materials are those materials which do not allow light to pass to them or allow very little light to pass to them, and things are visible but they are not very clearly visible. They are not very clear. Opaque objects on the other hand, they are those objects which do not allow light to pass to them at all, and you don't see any images of object through this opaque material. Then we have seen what is shadow, an area of darkness that is formed when light rays are blocked by an opaque object. Then we have seen there are three essential conditions for the formation of shadow. What were the three essential conditions? One, there must be an opaque object. Okay, there must be a source of light. For the formation of shadow, there must be a source of light. And what is the third condition? There must be a screen on which the shadow will be formed. Then we have seen the characteristics of the shadow. Size depends on the position of the object. Shape is that same as that of the shape of the object. And third characteristics, shadows are always dark in color. Dark or black in color. And then we have also seen pinhole camera. What are pinhole camera? These are simple camera without any lens. And how the image is formed in pinhole camera? Upside down. How the image is formed in pinhole camera? Upside down. What is another word for upside down? It is also called inverted image. Will you make your own pinhole camera at home? You can comment me in the comment section about it. Okay, try to make your own pinhole camera. Okay students, with that we have finished with the entire lesson. I hope you have understood each and every part. If you haven't understood anything, you can go back and watch the video again for your better understanding. Okay, 3 activities I have given you. You try to do all those 3 activities. Activity 1 with the pipe. Okay, activity 2 and activity 3 was pinhole camera. Okay, these are the 3 activities which all are doing. And thank you very much for joining this session. In case you are new to my channel, you can subscribe my channel so that you will immediately be notified whenever I am taking any class. You are going to get a notification, okay, about the latest video.